Hello and welcome back to what will be the final part of this DazToHue materials tutorial series. In this video we're going to be finishing off texturing the rest of our character's body. In particular we'll look at texturing the mouth or creating material for the mouth and also the nails, and we'll also have a quick look at wrinkle maps. So the first thing I'm going to do to get started is open up this character's skeletal mesh, come up to Asset Details and search for Rig. I'm going to assign it the Genesis 9 control rig, and the reason for that is because I want to be able to open the jaw so that we can see what we're doing when we're creating a material for the mouth. What I'll also do, or what I also need to do, is search for Post and add the Genesis 9 post-processing blueprint. And the other thing I'm going to do is just enable the recompute tangents on the face, or the head rather. So if I come down to head, change it to all. Now while I've got this open, I'll come to our materials folder, and I'm going to create 2 copies of this KD9 skin master material. I'm not going to create instances in this case, so unlike we did for the arms and body, etc., I don't want the mouth and nails to be children of this master skin material, so I want to be able to control them separately. I don't want the parameters we changed on this master skin material to affect our mouth or our nails. I'm just going to duplicate it, and this one I'll call KD9 mouth, and duplicate it again. This one will be nails. And I'm going to come up to our material slots and assign the nails and the mouth. Now I'm going to add a level sequence to the scene. Just override that one. And under tracks, I'm going to add our KD9 character. And I'm going to expand the control rig and global controls. Come down to show face controls and enable that. And I'll disable the body controls. Now I can come to this jaw control and open the jaw up. I can also open it really wide so we can get a better view of what's going on. Okay, so now we can see what's happening inside the mouth. So let's open our mouth material. And I'm going to reset most of these values. And what we need to do is bring in a mouth color texture. Actually, let's see what we've got to work with. So these are the textures that came with this character that Houdini discovered. So we have a color texture, a normal map, and a roughness map. And for the nails, we have a color and a specular by the looks of it. I'm going to bring all of those in. Not that folder though, we'll bring it into our textures. And for the roughness and the speculars, remember we need to make them grayscale and linear. Save those. Okay, so if we come up and enable use base color texture for the mouth, now drop our color map in there. While we're at it, we'll use the normal texture. Drop that in. Now let's add our roughness texture to our mouth. So if I enable use base roughness texture, drag that on there. It's very dark, so I need to turn on adjustments, and I'm going to bring the minimum roughness up a little. I'm also going to change the contrast just to get some detail back. But overall, it will be a very dark value because the obviously the inside of the mouth is quite shiny, wet looking. And what I'll also do is adjust the specular for the inside of the mouth. Now remember, because we haven't assigned a specular texture, it's using the color to derive some luminance values, but we can still adjust it. So bring the specularity up. So the inside of the mouth looks quite wet. Now you'll notice that the inside of the mouth is quite illuminated still, probably more than it should be in a scene like this. And that's in part just, I think, due to the way the lighting works in Unreal Engine, where it's not properly driving ambient occlusion inside this mouth cavity. So the way I've gotten around that is to add this occlusion layer. If I enable base occlusion texture, and if I come to the DazToHue content under, I think it's under native, nope, under common textures, Genesis 9, we'll see this DTH Genesis 9 head occlusion, and there's also mouth occlusion. I've only included these for Genesis 9. I may at some stage go back and do something similar for Genesis 8.1. So if I come down to this base occlusion layer and drag the mouth occlusion onto it, you can see now the inside of the mouth has gotten a lot darker. Too dark, so we want to reduce that a bit just to create some sort of fake ambient occlusion inside the mouth so it's not so illuminated. You can see the inside of the cheeks here, because that's a separate material, it's still quite illuminated. And that's because that's part of the head material. So if I come back to our head texture and again turn on its occlusion and use this head occlusion texture in there, now we can see we've got some occlusion on the inside of the cheeks as well. It's just a small detail, but I think it kind of helps sell the overall look of the character. So we'll leave the mouth like that now. Go back to our lip view. Okay, so the next material I'm going to look at is the nails. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll open up our nails material. Again, I'll just reset some of these values. We'll start with our color. So if we use base color texture, find our nails color texture, drag that in. We also have a specular texture for the nails, so I can enable that. Drag that in. It didn't come with a roughness texture, so let's just have a quick look at our buffers again. Oops, I've put the specular in the roughness, wrong channel. So let's undo that. And we'll put it in the specular. Okay. Now our roughness, we will adjust to reduce that a bit. So if we bring the max roughness down, the nails to a bit of shine on them. take a look at our textures again. This didn't come with any normal map for the nails. I wonder if we have any in the Genesis 9 base textures. Doesn't look like Genesis 9 comes with any normal maps for fingernails. Here we go, Genesis 9 nails. So let's give that a try. If I bring that in, and enable our normal texture, drag that onto there. You can see now we get some normal detail. It's a bit strong, so I'll reduce it back to 1. I'll look at the nails. Close that. So that is pretty much all of the skin materials assigned to our character now. Our character is now complete with all materials. The last thing we'll take a look at, if we come back to our sequencer, we'll add our character back. We'll bring back our face controls. And what I'm going to do is select the brow controls and just raise the brows up. And then if I come back to our head material, come down to category 8, which is our wrinkle maps. I'm going to enable wrinkle maps. We turn on visualize wrinkle map regions. We can see the region for the brow has been activated. It's just a visualization helper as I was putting this together. What we need to do is enable the texture array and these 3 normal textures. And then if we come back to our Genesis 9 included textures, I'm going to add, make some space. Looks like the wrinkle map array is already added. So I'm going to add the 3 wrinkle map normal maps. So 1, 2, and 3. And we can save the head material again, and now you can see we are getting some wrinkle detail in the brows. If I select our brow controls again, see our wrinkle maps are working. There's some other wrinkle maps around the mouth. It's a little hard to select the controls. So I'm just going to remove the control rig again, and with that, really our process of creating materials for our character is complete. So one last thing, we'll just take another look at it under different lighting scenarios. If I come back to our moonlight, you can now see how the nails looking under these lighting conditions. I think it's looking pretty good. And try our downtown. So that concludes this tutorial series on using the included materials with DazToHue. I hope that helps out beginners. You know, you can spend as much time as you like working on textures. As I say, for my own characters, I do quite a lot of texture work offline in Substance Designer. I've often done things like merge or combine different normal maps from different sources. You can achieve better realism, I think, by finessing things like your roughness textures and your specular textures. I think often you get better results if your specular texture has some relation to your normal texture. That is, if the cavities in your normal map, like the paw or skin portion example, match the dark patches in your specular texture, because obviously those skin pore cavities shouldn't be receiving specular light. But we didn't do that for this example. We were just working with the textures as is, as we found them, pretty much. But as I say, you can achieve a greater level of realism by putting in some extra work offline and manipulating the textures to get exactly what you want. So I'm going to leave this here. I hope that was helpful for some of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.